Risky life. So the funny thing is that as I've been listening to everybody tonight, is there's actually a ton of parallels between the life I live and business and all the other things. But this is what I am. I'm totally addicted to adrenaline and to risk. I love it when the consequences are thousands of feet of falling to my death. Makes absolutely no sense, but I'm totally addicted to it, and it's what I do. But the fact of the matter is, like I'm saying, is that there are so many parallels. Like anything, the harder you work, the better the rewards. Ski touring, you spend hours and hours and hours every day hiking. For one, maybe like reward at the end of the day, but it's all that hard work that makes it all worthwhile. And I think a lot of people missing out on that. Like, work hard, because it really is. It's that satisfaction at the end. You know, here obviously I'm just struggling through deep rocky snow, but the fact is that I'm working so hard that when I get up there, it's like, yes, it really feels worth it. This is just, another typical day for me. But like I was saying, like, risk is everything that I'm all about, and it's mitigating it. It's recognizing that I can move around this terrain safely, that after spending years and years learning the ways of the mountains, learning you can see avalanche debris on the other side, learning to not go that way. Like, everything is like that. You've got to develop this knowledge, spend lots and lots of time just kind of gaining experience until then you can start taking these risks. It's not like you want to start doing what I was doing before you do anything. You got to really get that base, and then you can start really, testing the waters, I guess, or the snow here. This is at the end of March. I set a record I did 100 vertical kilometers in the month, and this is a run I'd never done. And, the satisfaction of skiing down that. I'd wanted to ski for 12 years, and at the end of this month where I just averaged 11,000 feet a day for the month, or 10 and a half, it was kind of ridiculous, but there was that incredible satisfaction. But it is, you want to live a life where every once in a while you just go, yeah! It was really good. But it's true, that's what, for me, life is all about, and I think everybody should recognize that life is really special, and you've got to, whatever you're doing, find that little magic. That's what kids are so great for. They remind you of the magic. You're just like, it's incredible. It is amazing. My world's a little different, but the thing is at any point, so there's all these amazing moments, and like I said, but if I go the wrong way, so this is that peak I just skied off of, and if we'd been tempted to go the wrong way, we weren't going to. We had lots of knowledge. We weren't going to take that risk, but this whole thing, huge avalanche. So if we'd been up there with not a lot of experience and not a lot of knowledge and just been like, oh, well, let's go that way, you can obviously imagine what the consequences would have been. It was really eerie that whole day. There's lots of avalanches happening all around the Celtics. But yeah, so I'm going to try to relate business risks to my risks, as Greg Hill is my business. It's who I am. But I've got a lot of things that count that I need to come back for, and I need to figure out how to do it all safely. And like I was mentioning first, you've got to set yourself apart, you've got to actually get a lot of experience, and that's, he was mentioning in Canmore, you got to find your niche, and for me, I found my niche quite easily, and it was climbing a lot of vertical.
1 million feet, done. Amazing, holy moly. I gotta say, I thought I'd feel pretty excited, and I am excited, but it's also super intimidating. It's taken me so much to get to here, and to actually recognize that I have to do that again to get to my 2 million. Damn, that's a lot of effort.
Yes.
Hey, it's a goal, something I wanted to do for years, and I'm gonna dig deep, and I'm gonna make it.
So yeah, this year I was trying to do...
days behind now.
Keeps talking.
I can catch up.
But yeah, that year I was trying to climb and ski 2 million feet in the year, which was just something that nobody had ever done. And I like challenging the status quo. Like when I started ski touring, not a lot of people did 10,000 foot days. Not a lot of people did huge vertical. And I was like, hey, cool, I can do this, and that's my little niche. And I just went for it. And at first there was no consequences. I didn't have kids, and I could take risks, and I could just go for it. And it was amazing. But then during this year, I'm traveling around and out there pretty much every day trying to minimize the risks, and then I've got kids. I've got 2 kids at this point, so all of a sudden things start, meaning more. The biggest issue is I can't stop being who I am, and being out here is who I am, and And I've got my radars on. I'm using every rule I know. But I understand that it's a very thin line between life and death out here sometimes. Yeah, the night before my wife was talking, we were having a great romantic dinner, and she's like, you know, I always imagined that I'd have kids, but it was just her and the kids. So there's this moment where I was like, what about me? And I started to realize that all these risks I'm taking really do affect everybody. And I was a bit of a nihilistic person, you know, nothing really matters. But all of a sudden with kids and stuff, things really do matter. So, but I started to realize
I'd be super naive to think, oh, it's not going to happen to me, because here I am all the time, out here, pushing limits, climbing mountains, out running around solo, and I know I could die out here. And it's the saddest thing ever, for sure. I mean, it's made much more sad now because I have you amazing kids and an amazing wife, Tracy. But it's who I am. This is me. This is where I feel alive, is out here. This is, woo! I love it. I can't even explain it. It's just amazing. I love coming out here. I love challenging myself. I love just being out here because it's real, it's raw, it's like, it's not some concocted rules by man, it's nature at its best and its most beautiful.
that is the thing, is that a lot of risks in business and all that is that, you know, maybe you'll lose millions of dollars or whatever, but you actually won't die. So it's kind of, for me, the rules have to be way more stringent. I have to really adhere to tons of rules that you learn over the years, how to move through the mountains and everything, but, you know, strong work and pays off, and here's me at the end of 2 million feet. It just shows you that really, if you keep working hard, paying attention to your rules, you can survive and accomplish great things. Yeah, there she is. Yeah. It's a silly number that doesn't mean much, but it meant a lot that year, that's for sure.
Whoa, I guess I am going to get emotional. Holy shit. You're a nutbag. You're crazy. Yeah. Holy shit, 1 year. Yeah, Don got me started back there. What are you talking about? Well, what better place to finish it off than what just passed? With friends and family, for sure.
But yeah, good partners, friends and family, that's all the importance. But that challenge was huge, you know. It's really so satisfying to spend so long driven by one purpose and accomplishing it. And honestly, that watch is now in a drawer somewhere with batteries in it. Doesn't even matter anymore. But yeah, a few years ago I went to the Himalayas. This is where I really realized how important rules are for taking risks and really adhering to them. And also speaking out if you feel something's a little amiss. Like no matter who you are, you can maybe, you know, it's worth stepping in and saying, hey, listen, I kind of think you camped in the wrong spot. And this was exactly that. You can see this lineup of people. We're out in the mountains and climbing Mount Manus to the 8th highest. And people were camped in the middle. They're kind of camped right here. Right here. And like this is 2,000 feet of slope. And there's another huge group there. But over the years, you know, there's been a couple avalanches that have swept through there. There was one a week before. And you know, I had some friends camped right here, and I saw them that night, and I was like, I really want to say something to them. I want to be like, listen, you know, your camp spot. I was like, you know, your camp spot, it's not so great. And they're like, oh, it's okay, we'll wear beacons. And I wanted to step out and be like, no, you shouldn't camp there, but it's hard to really step out of those boundaries and tell people not to do things, right? And I didn't. And then a couple days later, about 4:45, our tent starts flapping. We're on this little pedestal, camped way away from everybody, in a nice safe spot. And 4:45, we get woken up by this huge avalanche that swept down and took 30 people down in their tents. And we're the first people on site hiking up. It's a little graphic here. Close your eyes for some of it.
Devastation, huge avalanche. Tents, everything. Massive.
Yes, they're all sleeping when this thing just tore them down the
Alors
mountainside.
les autres, vous êtes corrects, vous n'avez rien cassé? Vous avez juste froid?
How's your friendship going?
Yeah. You're sure?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
No
You
problem.
see, there is a tent here.
Yeah. You think there's people there?
Yes,
Il y a du monde dedans?
Yes.
Oui.
Et je peux pas bouger de moi, je peux pas creuser.
Avez-vous une pelle pour moi?
Non, on n'a rien.
No beacons, no shovels, nothing to actually,
It's just
no preparation.
Tiens, on pourrait prendre le galémac là. Ouais, super.
Yeah, none of these people had really accepted the consequences, or maybe they didn't know the consequences of what could happen in the camping there. They're just being guided blindly. So really wild to be digging them out of their tents and saving as many people as we could. But yeah, for me that was
Massive avalanche. Started way up there. See the ground line. Just went
12 people
down.
passed. 12 people
Put all their tents.
died out of 30.
People everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, that for me, that was a huge learning. It was like I was saying, like I've got a bunch of rules. Like one of them is minimizing exposure to avalanche terrain. And so we were camped on this little pedestal, but all those people, like I wanted to say something, but what really can you say, you know? So if you have a feeling, speak out, that's for sure. But this was all third person. I was all kind of a watcher. And I was like, oh yeah, the rules and how to stick to them. And I might skip this one quickly since we were, you didn't need to see me crying there. But it was really tough because the thing in the mountains is you have to accept the consequences. And I don't know if they all knew them, but I definitely have thought about them a lot. But like I said, that was third person, and so for us, I'm starting to get a bit of an ego because I've been out there for 20 years, pushing it for a long time, and nothing's ever really happened to me. Lots of kind of close calls, but nothing really happened to me. So I was in Pakistan, and I've got a bunch of rules of be prepared, good partners, that sort of thing. But then I don't really have enough of an antidote to like check out my own ego. I'm doing so well at things, I'm doing awesome, and then I wish I didn't be like Greg. You're starting to feel too confident. Like think about this. Because I got on top of this slope, it was one of the first slopes we'd skied there, and there were some filmers, so a little bit of Kodak courage, a little bit of like, okay, well, I should be filming, I gotta be a bit of a hero here. And instead of approaching the slope, like I've approached thousands of slopes in the Selkirks and all around here, I just went for it. And just loving it, first turns in Pakistan. Yeah, and then the whole thing just kind of fell apart. And it's like, oh God, get away to the side. So I'd hear tons of great rules in the Selkirks with rescues an hour away. It took 24 hours to rescue me here, so pretty silly place to break my rules, that's for sure. And just came really close to dying, actually. I was buried, managed to get the snow away from my face. Pretty much got tumbled 400 meters down in an avalanche, tumbling, making sure the snow was away from my face, just fighting it, and landing right here. I managed to just have enough to push the snow out and cough up a big chunk of snow and wait for my buddies. Midway down, I felt like, and I knew that my left leg had been cracked and broken. So that's what we're waiting for now, just to get me hilly out of here. But yeah, so 23 hours later, we stayed in a snow cave, broken leg, this one. I finally got rescued, but that was a huge one for me because forever it's all kind of been this theoretical, like what happens if I screw up, What happens if my kids think, what would they think when daddy doesn't come home? And, I've been following the right rules, and that day I just didn't have a good antidote for my ego, and sitting there in the debris for about 3 hours, I started to really ponder it. But it is, the life has been like everything I've done, the mountains, the places I've been, the things I've seen, it's all so worth it. And for sure there has to be some risk, and fuck, yeah, here are the consequences. A really sore shoulder and a broken leg, and almost death, really. But to live a life, like life is so fleeting, you can come and go, and nothing can happen in your entire life, or you can live one to the limit and have shit like this happen. But this, compared to all the great things that have happened, is minuscule, so minuscule. It's been so many moments. Yeah, so I still have a bit of a limp, but I'm getting over it. But that's the biggest thing I learned there. Is like, for me, it's worth it. But I've got to stick to all those rules. I've got to have great partners. I've got to have somebody that's actually questioning me, because I get a little bit too obsessed and a little too energized by the things. And, it's tough for me to sit at home and tell my kids I'm going on another expedition, but it's who I am. I can't really avoid that. And I've just got to stick to those rules and, do my best to be observant, and hopefully I have no more of these bad experiences and all the good ones. So, thanks, Golden. That's about it for me.